Now, people, last night, August 23rd, about 9 p.m., the JLP met the PNP for the first of three political debates. Last night's topic was social issues. On the JLP team, they had Pernell Charles Jr., Kamina Johnson-Smith, and Matthew Samuda. On the PNP team, they had Damian Crawford, Sophia Fraser-Binns, and Raymond Price. People, it was a good debate. You guys should watch the debate and be the judge if you have not watched it as yet. But as for me, I watched it, and trust me, people, it was a good debate. Me not gonna emphasize for who win, for who no win. All me know, it was a good debate. Everybody did what they were supposed to do. Yes, of course, you have people that say, other party win, other side they win. Because right now, me see, Mark Golding post say a for him side win, and Andrew Holness post say a for him side win. So I don't know who is the winner. It looks like say everybody is a winner right here. But Cliff Hughes and his nationwide team had something else to say. So please guys, listen to what Cliff Hughes and his team saying right now. I won't repeat a word. I'm just gonna play, let you guys hear.
So there you have it, the first debate of three for the September 23 general elections. It was on social issues, and we're going to go straight to the analysis that you want to hear. From where I sit, from what I saw, Matthew Samuda, the Minister of Water, Job Creation, and the Member of Parliament for North East St. Anne, arrived on the national political stage this evening as one to watch for the future. He is leadership material. He was commanding, he was self-assured, he was coherent, logical, and devastating in his responses. He, to me, was the star of the debate this evening, without doubt.
I would agree with that assessment, Cliff. He was heads and shoulders above the rest of the field by a wide margin. He showed a level of confidence and understanding in all the subject matters that were discussed this evening, and it resonated to suggest that when you heard him answer a question, you were certain that the answer was proper, as well as he was the proper attack dog as well. He gave the jabs where the jabs were necessary, but he did not veer off into that territory unnecessarily. He stayed on point and he stayed on message.
Javon?
I absolutely share your sentiments. Mr. Samuda really rose to the occasion and anchored the Jamaica Labour Party's team like
Siobhan.
Like Siobhan said, he was both attacking and defended and responded to the questions beautifully. Wonderful stuff in the world of debating. I am most pleased.
Nadine.
I think he really took the debate to the next level. He answered each question. I think sometimes some of the debaters got lost in the middle of the question, like they didn't remember what road they were traveling on, and so sometimes they got lost and you could see them trying to find their way back, but they couldn't. He never did that. And he always answered his question and answered within time. And what I noticed with him, his strategy at first was, I'm going to answer the question and then I rebut. And then he didn't get long-winded. He was precise. He was clear. He stayed connected to the question and to the message. And then he went after the PNP. And there were moments when he went after the PNP that he was devastating in terms of how he rebutted. And because they said some things that they shouldn't have said, he was able to bring in some things that he would perhaps not have brought in unless they said those things. So I think he was very, very effective. He showed a mastery of the social issues.
I'm impressed. Let me go to Ricardo Brooks first. Ricardo?
Hi, Cliff. Hi, panel.
Hi.
Yes, I agree with you. Matthew the occasion brilliantly. As I said, I expected him to. But the panel not to sleep on Kamina Johnson-Smith's response to that integrity question, which I think she hit out of the park over batting an eyelid. I thought it was one of the most effective answers of the night. And with so many eyeballs, I think this is the first time in a very cogent, crisp, clear way that a member of the Jamaica Labour Party has come to the Prime Minister's defense in the way that she did. Colonel Charles Jr.'s closing statement, excellently executed.
Yep.
He had a very shaky debate, but he certainly redeemed himself with that closing
That was his
statement.
best moment, Ricardo.
Yes, I agree.
Absolutely was his best moment. Raymond Price may have oversold himself, may have overdone it tonight. I think in the past, his theatrics have come across well. Tonight, it bordered on ugly. And I don't know that he did the People's National Party any favors. Sophia Fraser-Binns, very commanding, confident, clear, crisp. She did what she needed to do. Damian Crawford resisted the urge to lecture, and he threw some punches. All in all, I think it was about a pretty balanced affair. Only because I think Matthew Samuda was so head and shoulders above his fellow debaters. But all in all, I think I declared a draw.
Pete Sankey?
Sankey?
All right. I said in my opening that I expected Matthew Samuda to come out as a top debater for the PNP, and he did. He held his ground and he did very well. Right? I believe that the JLP was better prepared for this debate. I was expecting more from Raymond Price, but I think Sophia Fraser-Binns is the one who carried it for the PNP, despite fumbling earlier on the environment question, and she covers the environment. So I was expecting her to be better with that. But Martin Samuda hit her very hard on that point. Colonel Charles, as I said, Cliff, came back in the closing part. Colonel Charles at the housing issue, he fumbled a lot. But I think this debate belongs to Martin Samuda, and I will give it to the jail.
Javon, I'd like to get your assessment of Damian Crawford in terms of his performance this evening. He was expected essentially to be the lead of the team, and you see where he fielded most of the questions, but how do you think he handled them?
All right, so I believe that he was not confident any at all throughout the debate. I was expecting a more resolute and a more commanding Damian to be on display. That wasn't the case. I think a lot of the times he got lost in his response and he veered off course. But overall, it wasn't a bad showing. But based on what we know of Damian Crawford and who we know him to be, I was expecting so much more. But it's a fair, I'd give him a fair attempt.
Well, I was disappointed, yeah? And Damian fell victim to the expectations game, yeah?
Yes,
People thought he would have led the PNP. He never gained his composure. He was nervous right throughout the debate, yeah? He made some gaffes when he spoke, for example, about the mammogram. Only two mammograms. Yeah. Instead of mammography units.
Yes.
Yeah. And that dogged him throughout much of the 90 minutes. I think he was the worst performer tonight, without a doubt.
And I have to draw attention to the matter of when he was speaking about data and access in terms of rural schools.
Yeah.
He confused many of the terms in terms of he showed that he did not understand the material he was working with.
He was a nervous wreck.
He confused megabytes with megabits per second in terms of capacity versus speed,
Yes.
which shows that he did not fully actually grasp what he was detailing. But I understand, Pete Sankey, you have a point to make regarding Damian's performance.
Yes, looking at Damian, I think Damian is more a platform speaker. This wasn't suitable for him. Damian would have performed better on the platform. I was expecting much better from him, but he will be better on the platform, I think. Thanks.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's more of a I don't want to use the G word, but on the platform, that repartee that you get and the call and response kind of speaking, but I think to carry a lot of facts and to speak to items in a particular kind of expert way, I think that's not Damian, and we saw that tonight. We saw that he could easily get confused with facts, and he could present information that is not true, that made his side very vulnerable. And so I think he was people tend to expect a lot of him, perhaps because he's the writer of the manifesto or the main architect of the manifesto. People expected him to know more, perhaps because he comes across as this savvy, character.
I made a point at the beginning of our commentary that the medium can be devastating. Television can be brutal.
Yes.
True.
And Damian fell victim to that tonight.
Yeah.
He was not sweating, but his face was oily. I don't know if it was sweat, but he did not look comfortable.
He
was
looked out of
not
his
the
depth.
self-assured
Yeah.
Damian
Yes.
Crawford, confident that we were expecting.
Yes, he looked out of his depth.
The other takeaway for me, yes, the first of the 3 debates, the opposition needed to land punches. Yeah? Price tried, Damian tried, Sophia tried, especially with that question that Ricardo spoke to about the Prime Minister's uncertified declarations, and the government responded more than effectively, parried very well. If you're in a boxing match, they defended, they bobbed, they weaved, and counterattacked. The opposition did not score any points tonight.
And I would agree with you,
I
Cliff.
don't know if that question is still in play, though. That matter of the Prime Minister's uncertified declaration. I don't know if, in the grand scheme of the political narrative at this particular point, if it is in play beyond PNP grassroots supporters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they could have punched with some other pointers,
And Ricardo, that's where I'd like to bring you in, because that was my question to the panel when that question was asked. It was almost predictable.
Yeah.
It would be the one question on a test sheet that you would expect the person taking the test to have the answer to. So why bother go for that question? I'd like to bring you in on that, Ricardo.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dr. Sprint is right. I think it was political red meat for the base that's watching. Ultimately, the truth is you want to use this exercise to shore up your political support, right? The JLP lead into a well-known attack on the PNP, which is high taxes, and Sophia Fraser-Binns went for the political hot talking point regarding the Prime Minister. I think what I was impressed by, you're right, Siobhan, you'd expect that the JLP debaters would be ready for the question, but it was the effortless way with which Kamina Johnson-Smith swatted it away. I really was impressed there, because the fact is, up to that point, let's be frank, she had been struggling. She had been struggling to maintain time. She had been struggling to keep her thoughts, on track. But on that one question, it was such a standout moment for me. I think I tweeted, whack. Because, you literally heard the ball hit the bat, and your eyes just watched it just fly out of the stadium. It really, really, I thought, was very effective on her.
Well, who won the debate, Javon?
All right, so before I give my thoughts on who won, I just want to point out that this is the first social debate that we're having in ages where crime has not been mentioned any at all. And I think that stands to testament that our country is heading in the right direction. And to make it brief, in my estimation, I'd give this the first debate to the Jamaica Labour Party.
Nadine?
I think to the Jamaica Labour Party best speaker, Matthew Samuda.
I second.
Yes, I think the JLP more cogently handled their questions, and most of them stayed on point. I think the PNP, especially Price and Damian, they tended to go off topic and didn't tackle the questions as the questions were answered in the way they needed to be. I think there were points when the JLP kind of went off, but it was less than the PNP, and I think the PNP, the JLP stuck to answering the questions, especially with Matthew Samuda. They answered the question more directly and more pointedly. I also thought whoever was doing the social media questions, and they asked some questions that were answered before. So I'm wondering if was that they never had enough social media questions or what. But 2 of those questions were asked before, and they asked them again, which I thought was a waste of time given the range of potential other questions that could have been asked, and it kind of threw me off in terms of the methodology of the debate, because that was distracting, and I think they ought to fix it for the next time.
Pete Sankey?
Sorry, I may have jumped ahead because I did say earlier that I believe the JLP was more prepared and the JLP won the debate to me tonight. One surprise question, and it came from social media about federal homes. I don't think anybody was expecting that one at all. But for those who have been covering the news for many, many years, Cliff would know that the federal homes have not been properly monitored from going back to the 1970s. Right? Yeah. So I'm not sure where they're going with that one. And there were some questions that were not answered. The one about the traffic, the traffic incident and following a big entertainment event. That one wasn't answered. The one about the guidance counselors in schools, that one wasn't answered either by any of the parties. But it was a good debate. It was a good debate in parts. Yeah? Yes.
It was a good debate in parts. And I think on the PNP side, Sophia Fraser-Binns, was the best of the three.
Yes.
I thought. Yeah, she was the best of the three.
I think Raymond could have, been more useful in trying to bring more substance to the debate. I think his style is such that if he had really added substance to his manner, he would have been out of this world with manner and matter.
Yes.
He became a slave to rhetoric and snark.
Yeah. He was snarky. He was unkind. People don't like unkind debaters.
Didn't he come back with a closing argument that was pretty strong?
That is it with debating. Once you set a character in the debate and people meet that character, it's hard for you to come back from that. And people stop listening to you because they don't like you. Yeah. So that is what happens. So even though I think you have to bring me back to that for me to say, okay, that wasn't bad, as opposed to, no man, throughout the debate, he had that character. And so when he came at the last part, you would have continued to follow him. But you shut him out by then because you're like, oh, Raymond, God. Stick to the debate and stop with the unkindness. But he didn't do that.
Was it Pete Sankey who said, in terms of preparations, the JLP side seemed better prepared?
Yes.
They also seemed to be in greater command of the issues, the policies. Yeah. For example, it was quite embarrassing when Matthew corrected Sophia in saying, listen, we're talking about the Beach Control Act and not the Beach Access Act. Yeah. I think that just typifies where they are in terms of their preparations and command of the issues.
I said it Friday, Cliff, I believe, that this night the People's National Party need to show that they were prepared to take the reins of government, and they needed to put forward their members to suggest that, yes, we have a command of the issues and we are ready to take over where the JLP, we believe, have failed. I think the Jamaican people over the last 9-10 years would have gotten used to the Matthew Samuda, the Kamina Johnson Smith, the Purnell Childs in terms of their roles in governance. And it has showed that they have grown into that role where they have a command and an understanding of the issues. And I feel that they delivered on that. And I feel the People's National Party failed to put forward themselves as an alternative.
Yeah.
And I think they forgot that what they're supposed to be doing is speaking to their manifesto in a convincing way. Like, you don't have to go searching for the information. You've put forward your manifesto.
And speaking of that, Kamina Johnson Smith told us about some of the things coming where Students' Loan Bureau benefits are concerned in the JLP manifesto tomorrow. She let slip that there are some new things coming there.
Yes.
Anyway, I thought the JLP won and won decisively, largely due
to Matthew Samuda.
Captain Samuda. He made a difference between these two teams tonight.
He did.
Ricardo?
Yes, sir.
Where you saw a draw?
Yeah, I saw a draw because I think Colonel Charles didn't rise to the occasion in the way he needed to. As I said, Kamina Johnson Smith, I thought, had some stumbling moments. When I look at Team PNP, I don't agree with you all that Damian was the worst. I don't share that view. I think I found more of a balance across the board, apart from Raymond's ugliness. But then, because of how strong Matthew Samuda was, as the people on the road would say, it scoots out. Yeah, that's how I saw it.
Okay.
Let me ask you though, Ricardo. You said that you don't believe Damian Crawford performed poorly in terms of relative to
No, I
the
didn't
rest
say
of the
that.
team.
I said I don't think he was the worst. No,
Okay, very well. But let me ask you, in terms of what was expected of him going in terms of his performance in other venues such as the Senate and other areas on the political platform, don't you believe that he fell short of what would be expected of him?
Yeah, but falling short of an expectation is not failure.
Yes.
In the perception of the
It is.
people?
No, I disagree with that. The fact that you have set up an expectation for him that he didn't meet, I don't think that's fair.
Who did you see as the leader of the PNP team?
Because if I do that, then across the board, all 6 of them didn't meet the mark.
Who did you see as the leader of the PNP team going in?
That's something. I didn't set up that kind of analysis in my mind.
Oh.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't.
Oh.
So you all have set up an expectation for him that you all think he didn't meet. But I don't.
And because Damian, with the greatest of respect to Raymond and Sophia, is the most senior of the 3 in terms of the rankings in the opposition.
True.
Yeah, he's the most senior.
He's a former minister. He has served as a senator for longer than the others, as well as being an MP.
Yes. And he now shadows the very important role of education, which is a very senior position in the shadow cabinet. And therein lies why people would think that in terms of the expectations, he was or should have been the leader. Yeah? Anyway, that's where we're going to leave it tonight.